If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything about living in the Jacksonville, Florida area, subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market conditions here in Jacksonville, Florida. My name's Jay Wyke. I'm a local real estate agent, and I get calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you that are looking for help relocating to this area, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or even schedule a Zoom call through the Calendly link below. I'm happy to help you make a smooth move to Jacksonville, Florida. So today we're going to cover the do's and don'ts before making a long distance move. Let's get started. So you're thinking about making a move to Jacksonville, Florida, but you're really not sure about what's going to be involved in that long distance move. You know, are you moving from Miami? Are you moving from California? Are you moving from Texas? You're moving from New York, New Jersey, Canada, the Philippines? I have customers in all of those locations. And I will let you know, if you haven't made a long distance move before, it's definitely something you can get through. It's nothing to be real nervous about. It's something I can help you with and talk you through. I made at least 7 long distance moves in my life, and those were all before I was 21 years old. My dad worked in electrical construction. I'm not a military brat, but I can definitely relate to what, you know, military brats and the military folks have done as well. So we're going to cover all those do's and don'ts, and you're going to want to stick around to the end because we're getting after it right now. So today we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts before you move out of state or make a long distance move here to the Jacksonville, Florida area. So I'm going to start out with the, first things first. Let's talk about moving. When it comes to moving, I would strongly suggest that you do some research. If you're going to hire a moving company, try to vet them, look them up, Google My Business, look them up online, review their reviews, talk to them, get quotes, get rates. Are you going to have them pack up your belongings, box them up, load them on the van, unpack, unbox, put everything away? So that's full service. That's obviously, going to be the easiest for you. Another option is going to be, self-moving, of course, which is going to be where it might involve you having a pod, placed at your home or, apartment, condo, and, you load up the pod with your belongings, and sometimes it takes a couple of pods depending on the size of your home. And then what they will do is they'll move the pod into storage until you want it at your location. And then when you're ready, they bring it to your new home. They make sure it's leveled out and they place it exactly where you need it. And you begin unpacking. So that's with a pod. There's also driving a U-Haul van or something, Penske, whoever, hauling it yourself in a van. Another option that you need to consider is your cars and boats and RVs. You're going to have to logistically figure out moving those. I would suggest, if you have a U-Haul and you do the self-drive thing, I would tow my boat that way, possibly have a following vehicle. And then if you don't have enough people that are of, legal age to drive, if you can't recruit, a family member or a friend to make the move with you, you can always hire a car hauler, and they have rates that they can quote you to move cars, motorcycles. I believe they can even move boats on flatbeds, with a trailer, that sort of thing. If your boat's so large that you can't move it, over land, but that's pretty large, you would have to look at moving it, down the coast through the intercoastal waterway, that type of thing. So that covers moving. And last but not least, let me make sure you understand, when you get to your place and you open up that van, particularly if you self-move, you want to have some sheets and some tools, instructions to assemble, that type of thing. You want to make sure that's the first thing off of the things that you unpack, okay? Because you definitely may, when you first get there, you may want to bed down for the night and not try to set up beds and all that type of thing. Even if you hire labor, which you can do, you can hire day labor, wherever you move to. Even if you self-move, you can hire day labor to unpack and do the heavy lifting for you. You still want to have that stuff available so that if you're hiring them to, assemble the furniture, beds, that kind of thing, you have all of the parts and stuff that are associated with that handy, okay? So that's moving. Okay, so the next thing that I would strongly consider is getting a quote on your car insurance, vehicle insurance. It's very possible that the area that you're moving from, the rates might possibly be higher here. Not necessarily so, but if you're moving to an area where there's a higher population, which Jacksonville has the highest population of any city in the state of Florida, your rates may go up marginally, but you want to factor that into your budget, your month-to-month budget, because everybody's got a budget that they got to meet to live on month to month, and your car insurance is definitely a factor of that, so you want to consider it. All right, the next seek out a local, experienced, professional real estate agent. Look them up on YouTube, look them up on Google My Business, look up their reviews, call them, text them, email them. Of course, my contact information is in the description below. I'm always available, for a phone call, text, email, or a Zoom call, 30-minute Zoom call. I just did a Zoom call the other day with a family relocating here from Texas. Went very smoothly, and we're going to go out looking at homes this week. And, it was wonderful because we were able to get to know each other in advance, talk about what they're looking for, talk about their budget, talk about their financing, that type of thing. And, when they come here, we're going to hit the ground running. They're going to look around for a few days in advance. And then once we narrow down some properties, we're going to go together and get that property under contract for them. And they're going to get moved here. The customer has a new job here. Her husband works remotely, and it's going to be wonderful for them. Okay, next thing, if you're selling your current home and you need to sell that home to buy your next home here in the Jacksonville area, I would strongly suggest that you talk to a local qualified real estate agent. And if you don't know of one, I can definitely help you find one. But speak to that person, tell them what you owe on the property, if anything, any second lines of credit or any of that kind of stuff on the property. And they're going to look at the comps and look at what the property, would likely sell for, and after your expenses, they're going to give you an idea what your net proceeds are. And that's what you're going to roll over into your next house, or whatever portion of that equity that you want to move over into your next house. And, it'll help you get pre-approved, and we'll have a budget for you. And, we can definitely be very effective and efficient with finding you a home, that meets with your monthly budget, and, get you moved here to Jacksonville. If you're not going to sell your home and you're going to lease it out, rent it out, be aware that some lenders will require you to have a record of that home being rented, for a number of months, so that they can track the revenue from that house that you're renting out. I'm just making you aware of it, and it's just something to consider. But, please call me, text me. We can schedule a Zoom call and we can go in deeper on that if you like, and discuss it. Okay, so my next I would strongly suggest you get pre-approved with a local lender here in the Jacksonville area. It's going to definitely help you to work with someone, local, that has a track record. And definitely I have, a very small group of lenders that I work with, that I have a track record with. And the reason that I work with them, I don't work for them. I don't receive any money from them to work with them. And the involvement that I have with them is because of clear communication with my clients and with myself, access to the other agent, on the transaction, and, getting to the closing table on time, giving you a clear outline of what your expenses are going to be. And if you want to get two sets of numbers, get two sets of numbers. I don't have a problem with that. I actually recommend that people get two sets of numbers and compare things side by side, so you understand, what's better for you. I work with a limited group of lenders. And again, when we reach out to me and we talk about that, I'd be glad to connect you with them. If you have a lender that you're already, totally set with, that you want to work with, I understand and I respect that too. Okay, so my next that I would suggest that you do is plan a house hunting trip a day or two in advance. And I don't mean one where you have a real estate agent in tow and you just, randomly pick out of 200 homes on a MLS list, 4 of them that look good to you. You really need to drive around the neighborhoods yourself and make your own decision as to, whether you like what your neighbors' homes look like, whether you're okay with the traffic pattern, whether you're okay with the schools that are nearby. Is it, if you're going to commute to work, is it close enough to your work? I can do a ton of the heavy lifting and legwork for you up front to help you narrow that down. But ultimately, that decision is going to lie with you. And I want you to be happy with where you choose to live. Because if you're not happy, I'm not happy. And I want to be able to work with you again and again as time marches on. So, think about it. Plan a trip couple of days in advance. And then once we narrow things down, I'd be happy to go out with you, for a day or two. We look at a few properties and we get things, narrowed down for you and ironed out. Thanks. All right. So the next do that I have is reduce your amount of stuff. This is a golden opportunity. Reduce what you have. It doesn't make any sense to me. Hopefully this makes sense with you or resonates with you. Why do you want to pay to handle stuff 2 times, move it to a different location, pack it, unpack it, if it's not something that you really want to have in the next place that you live? Look at the furniture that you have. Is it going to work in the next house that you're moving into? Do you have enough furniture? Is the furniture too small? Is the furniture too large? Do you have a bunch of knickknacks and things that you don't, that you've accumulated? This is an opportunity for you to have a garage sale, make some extra cash to use towards your move, or donate to a local charity, and get a receipt for that, take it off your taxes. But definitely think about reducing how much stuff you have before you move, because, once you move it again, you're stuck with it again and you got to deal with it again. Okay, here's another do, and this is mostly a lot of do's. Once you get pre-approved and the lender has you ready to go and you're ready to pull the trigger on buying a house, remember, they have taken a snapshot of your credit worthiness, your debt to equity ratio, and approved you to buy a home. You don't want to go out and take out new lines of credit, co-sign on loans, for other people. Go out and buy a house full of furniture in advance because you're excited, and finance it for 72 months. So go out. You don't want to go out and lease a car. I understand that things are going to come up and expenses are going to come up. You have to live your life. You have to pay your bills. If something medical comes up, medical emergencies, hospitalizations, all those kind of things, those are emergencies and they're all explainable. Everything you do, your day-to-day life, you continue to do that. And the lender's taking that into consideration. But what they don't want to see, and unfortunately, I've heard these stories. I always have this conversation up front, so I haven't experienced it myself with my clients. But I have heard stories where people went out and they spent their down payment money, for their next home. Or they took out, a big old line of credit, and bought another car, or, that type of thing. And that, unfortunately, they will not give you clear to close if that situation arises. And we would have to delay the purchase of your home. If you have deposits down with a builder, you might possibly end up forfeiting those. Those are the kind of things that you've got to take into consideration. So definitely try to preserve your credit snapshot, if you will, like a photograph, before, during, and after. You want those things to all be the same. Once we go to the closing table and you close, you can go out and buy whatever you want, whatever you feel like, and you're ready, go do it. Okay, so this is the last one, and I'm kind of gonna roll a bunch of things in together. You definitely want to consider getting your new ID, your new Florida driver's license, when you get there, because after X amount of days, you're supposed to get a new tag and, a new ID and all that kind of thing. You want to consider possibly getting a voter registration if you care about voting. The reason I'm bringing those things up is because I moved to Florida for like the 3rd time in my life when I was around 21 years old, and my father had retired. I wanted to continue on and finish my degree for college, and I wanted Florida residency. So I did everything I could to help my family get Florida residency so we could, reduce the cost of, my education. And I would encourage you to do the same thing if you're looking at, using the higher education system here in Florida and you want to get in-state tuition. That's definitely something to consider. Another thing is, moving your cable box, cable TV, that kind of thing. A lot of accounts like Infinity or Xfinity, You know, AT&T, they have these self-move deals where you can move your stuff that way. Have your utilities turned on at your new place where you're moving into. I would have them turned on at least, if possible, the day before closing, you know, so that you don't ever want to do a walkthrough and have the chance that the utilities have been turned off. I've been through that. It's exciting, let's put it that way. We still got closed and we were still able to get the utilities turned on, you know, in the afternoon. But, you know, it required a lot of phone calls, being on hold for a little bit. They run a quick credit check, you know, depending on the utility company. And we got the utilities turned on and everything was, you know, A-OK. And we got closed and everything. But yeah, that's just stuff to consider. One more thing would be, you know, consider getting possibly banking with a local financial institution or a local branch. If it's a, you know, large financial institution. I know a lot of folks live in, you know, smaller towns or smaller areas, and they have banked local savings and loan or a local credit union. And, you know, I hear that a lot, and, you know, that's okay that you've done all that, but I would encourage you to possibly shift your focus, you know, to bank locally if possible. And, you know, your credit cards, you never want to get a credit card decline or have something not go through. You know, you want to have access to your money, you know, no matter what. So that's just something to consider. So I hope you got a lot out of this list of do's and don'ts before making a long distance move here to the Jacksonville, Florida area. Again, my name's Jay Wyke. I'm a local real estate agent. I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel. You know, that way you stay on top of what's happening with the local market. And I'm going to give you a lot of information, a lot of tours of local areas and new construction and resale homes. And you can always reach out to me. My contact information is in the description below. And like I always say, whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'm happy to help you make a smooth move to Jacksonville, Florida. And until next time, hope to show you around town.